All right, hey guys, Shane here with another Patreon exclusive. So for those who have been following my journey, there was a kind of a sudden change, but there was a reason for it. I guess a few reasons for it, and I figured I'd come here to you guys first, and fill y'all in on what's going on. So first off, I just want to go ahead and provide a cat disclaimer. If she starts fucking with cords and shit, that will cause a distraction, but there's not much I can do about that. But so yeah, that's one disclaimer. And I guess the other great thing, is that I don't have my mixer back yet, but I have my microphone stand. My hands are free, hands free now, hands free. Because yeah, for the past I guess 2 or 3 months, I'd been I'd had to hold the mic, and that causes some bad audio characteristics. So getting more back to normal, and since I'll have a home base of sorts now, I will be getting that mixer back, and we'll have this high quality audio that you guys are so used to. Thank you so much for bearing with I guess that kind of tumultuous time uh, without a studio, and kind of dealing with some bad audio here and there. I do certainly apologize, but hopefully you found the content valuable nonetheless. So, yes, I'm back in Southern Illinois. Now, the story here is basically that I was starting, my wilderness fawning journey, north of Texas at a Army Corps of Engineer place. It was $6 a night. I stayed there before I went to Acapulco, and it was nice place, good price. Really wasn't busy ever, at least for the 4 or 5 days I was there before, and it was nice. I guess the only downside was it was like 20 minutes from North Austin, where the old apartment was, when I lived with Kyle. But yeah, what I do there, Postmates is what I'd always fall back on. Most days I could make 50, $75 a day, and that's counting out expenses too for gas and things. So that wasn't bad. And when I don't have a $700 a month, when I'm not paying $700 a month for rent, that's okay. That's enough. That's enough for me. Can't do the intensive saving that I want to with that, but anyway, it's enough to live on, and I don't have to be tied down to a stationary. I didn't have to be tied down to a stationary location, and that job was location independent. So that was great. That was great. It worked out well for a few months, but unfortunately, I went out a few days there in Austin. Friday and Saturday specifically, two of those days. Typically pretty busy. Typically I can start at like 10 a.m. and drive all the way up until I typically stop at 5 or 6, because I didn't like driving around downtown Austin at night. I didn't know it that well, and it just got busy as all hell, and I didn't like it. So I had to do the morning and kind of the beginning of the dinner shift, the morning lunch and kind of the beginning of the dinner shift, and it would work out okay. But this Friday and Saturday, it just wasn't. I went out for about I guess 10:30 a.m. to maybe 3 or 4, and had 3 total deliveries. So I basically broke even both days, which is not good. Um, Basically just wasted my time. Just delivered for free. So that wasn't working out, and so I started looking. I'd go into town. Before I drive for Postmates, I'd get up early, go work out and shower. Then I'd go to McDonald's or Panera, get a coffee, and then use their Wi-Fi, get whatever I guess back end work for LEWay or TPP out of the way, and then I'd also look for jobs there in Austin. There are a lot of temporary and seasonal and event positions. I really didn't find too many of those. There obviously were a lot of jobs, but when I kept looking at it, and I'd have like an hour commute each way, and that just isn't what I'm looking for. It's just not. So I kind of I thought about it. Sunday I was sitting around at my campsite, enjoying the semi, well, I guess compared to here in Illinois, the warm weather there in Austin. North of Austin, and I was just thinking about it. Didn't I had some money, obviously, but how long could I how long could I survive? I could have for some time, but the more I thought about it, I didn't want to risk running out of money there, and not being able to return here, because I did plan on going to Colorado or to Denver to do wilderness fauna there for a few months. And it would have been worse there, or it could have been worse. I didn't really know what to expect at Tejas, where I was north of Austin. I could leave my tent up and go drive for Postmates, and I wasn't worried about it. But at the places I'd camp, the few places I scouted out online, I don't know how those would be, and I'd probably have to tear down the tent every day before I go to work and then put it up at night. And it would cause me, like, if I worked a 7:30 to 5 job, that would require me to get up at like 4:30 or 5, and it just wasn't. I don't know. It just didn't really seem ideal. It seemed like the return wasn't wasn't all that I expected. So anyway, Postmates really didn't work out. And yeah, so it was Sunday. Sorry, I'm skipping around a little bit. But yeah, it was Sunday, and I was thinking about it. Well, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Is it worth it? Is it worth an hour commute each way to kind of to live, to even just survive there at Tejas? Let alone get the I guess the safety net of money that I wanted before I went to Denver. Things were just going a lot slower than I thought they would. So yeah, I thought about it on Sunday, and finished watching the Saints and Rams game. And yes, guys, I do partake in. That's like the last vestige of the Survival Society for me, is I enjoy watching football. But anyway, I finished watching that game, and I just thought about it. And I decided to load up everything and start driving home. I guess I left Austin for Southern Illinois at about 7:30 or 8. So I drove all night, or I drove for about 4 or 5. I pounded 2 energy drinks, which wasn't smart. I shouldn't have done that. Drove for like 4 hours, and then I crashed. I just got too tired, pulled over to rest area, and slept there for about an hour and a half, and then continued the journey north. And ended up getting back to I guess 10 minutes away from the house here, and no issues at all. In the first 890 miles, none whatsoever, none at all. But I got into the country roads, and I really didn't think about it, and my mom didn't remind me. But apparently it rained a lot the past couple of days, and it's been below freezing here most days and nights. And there was quite a bit of water on the road that froze over, so a lot of ice on the road. So I I got through. There's this one road with the ice was pretty thick, and keep in mind I drive a car, a Mercury Grand Marquis, so it doesn't sit that high off the ground. So I looked at it and I was like, oh, just a little ice on the road, no problem at all. Got about halfway into it, and got into the puddle, like the spots of water got a little deep, and I was starting to get a little concerned and worried. Then I got past the water parts, and the ice was just scraping the shit out of the bottom of my car. And I was like, this is not good, but I can't stop her. I'm gonna get stuck. So I gave her hell, and got through to the other side. And I called my mom because I know a lot of these roads, but they're like the way I was coming in. I never come from the south. I always come from the north, like from Bloomington or Decatur, and I got to this T, and to the left that road was closed. The ice was worse, and then to the right, I didn't know what to expect. So I called her, and I was like, first off, I might have fucked up my car, going over this ice. Not 100% sure. And secondly, not really sure how I'm gonna get there because the roads are, the high water and the ice is kind of blocking me from doing this. So I was like, I'll try this way. I'll call you back if I need directions or something like that. And obviously, yeah, the signal wasn't great either. But anyway, so I couldn't go left back to towards where the house was. I had to start going around the long way around. And it wasn't 2 minutes when I got off the phone with my mom that a few deer decided to run out in front of my car, and missed a couple of them, but I didn't miss one. I got one pretty good. So very eventful last 10 miles. Thankfully, it's a 98 Mercury Grand Marquis. It's very, very solidly built. I was telling some family and friends, like, I obviously don't try to do this, but that you can fuck that car up, and it'll probably still be okay. It's very, very solidly built. But yeah, the deer knocked out the passenger side headlights. The grill's knocked out. So basically, I'm just gonna go to a junkyard and find a new grill and replace the lights. So it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Could have been a lot worse. And thankfully, my car is kind of a tank. So that was the journey here. Certainly very eventful. But I guess where to now? I kind of went through why I decided to come back. I guess another aspect of this too is, so my grandpa left me and my brother a decent amount of inheritance, and I hadn't really known what that was put into. Jason Booth and I think talked about it on an episode, a Patreon exclusive episode of the Vonu podcast, that I've got 6 figures of inheritance money. Like, why the hell am I paying interest on credit cards? That sort of thing. I wasn't quite sure about that, but I recently, I guess maybe just a couple months ago in December, found out that. And then I don't remember them ever telling me this, that my inheritance, the reason that I couldn't physically have it is because it was in this property right here, this 22 acres of land. So that kind of changed things, because I did plan on my mid to long-term goal was come back here and off-grid homestead. I've talked about that. But I thought I'd have to, live a very frugal and minimal lifestyle and intensively save so that I could have some money to put down on the land. And probably just do an agreement between me and my parents. But this kind of changed things, that this is my property. This 22 acres with a chicken coop and a really nice barn, all sorts of storage out back. I mean, yeah, it's mine now. Obviously, considering when you talk about security culture, and I've talked about like with ethical land use, the article by Rayo, and some other comments that he made, or I guess ownership of private property from his book, Finding the Search for Personal Freedom. But I told my parents I don't want my name on anything. I don't want my name on things. So it is mine, but it's not my name. They're kind of acting as my proxy merchants, by request. And there's also the thing too that I have had health issues in the past. I've got diabetes, but if it ever comes, if something were to happen and they wanted to, if like a hospital or someone wanted to seize property or take me to court or something like that, I don't want there to be a lot on paper for them to take. So that's just the way that I've kind of approached things. And I think it's the safer way to do so. Excuse me. But so that was kind of a major factor I found out in December, and I talked to Jason Booth and Jeremy Hangeller about it, and I was like, this kind of changes things, guys. Like, the nomad life that I was kind of doing, going to Acapulco and the wilderness fawn, it was fun. I enjoyed it, but it was difficult. It was definitely difficult, and I actually went through all the figures here, and I sent this to Jason as well. I put together an Excel spreadsheet going through all the expenses I'd need, and that includes like a $15,000 car as well, like a new, a decent truck or something for out here. And the monthly expenses for living here are only about $100, I guess, maybe $100 or $200 more than living in Acapulco, and the job prospects are a lot better here. Yeah, they certainly are. So, and plus as well, I've mentioned the distillery put up a video, I guess a few weeks ago, of kind of a distillery tour when we were down there running it once, testing everything out and that sort of thing. I've got a job at the distillery. I mean, right now it's not open, but we're going to start doing 2 or 3 runs a week, and that's going to be a good portion of my income right there. So it's just a lot easier, and I feel a lot more comfortable here. Now, we've talked about the city psychological pressures. There in Austin, I did kind of feel that, even though I was, even north of Austin when I was camping, it just didn't feel, and some days I'd feel really comfortable, but I guess at this time, the weather was pretty decent there in Austin, so there are a bunch of people, there at the park, or at the campsite, and I didn't really like that. It wasn't too comfortable. It didn't feel like home. And here, it definitely feels like that. So, I think that the nearest town is like 30 minutes away. 30 minutes away from here as well. So, very far out from the city. It's unincorporated, which means that I don't have to deal with nuisance abatement or anything like that. I can collect rainwater without being tossed in a cage. Can basically do what I want to and truly go off grid. So the situation here is obviously a lot better. And plus, my family and friends are here. So, that's a pretty huge. So, so yeah, the plan for here really is, yeah. So I'll be living here. I've got as far as the internet itself, it's basically just hotspots. So that's going to be a little unfortunate. Not going to be able to do. I don't think. I guess we'll have to see and do some testing, but have to see how good the connection is. and how fast the connection is to see if I can do live streams. But regardless, I'll have a stable internet connection, a hotspot connection. So that'll be very, very useful. It really will. The other aspect of this is that you mentioned off-grid homesteading. So there's a chicken coop out there. There's the guy that lived here before spent a bunch of time getting a garden ready. Unfortunately, came down with leukemia, so he wasn't actually able to utilize it like he wanted to. But there's a big patch. If you look on Google Maps, I'm not going to tell you guys where the house is for security culture reasons. But Nibbler, kitty. But yeah, if you look on Google Maps, you can see. You can visibly see the portion that he started to work on for a big garden. So I guess the plan for that is I've had a small garden in my backyard. Obviously, got a ton of vegetables, more than I could ever use. So I'm gonna have a big garden here, probably 6 or 7 times the size, and that's going to be kind of the start of the permaculture farm, and also to kind of get better and learn about how to properly do this. And then I do plan on turning it into like a full-fledged permaculture farm. Have chickens. My parents love cows on the abutting property. I want to have a yak or two because I want to be the only yak farmer in the area, probably one of the only ones in Illinois. And thanks Nick Hazelton for that. He got me onto yaks. That'll be down the road. That'll be down the road. But basically just trying to the self-sufficient lifestyle, frugality, minimalism, all things I've been doing before, only from a different location, and not the pure wilderness Vonu sort of lifestyle, or the perpetual traveling sort of thing. So, I guess the other thing I'll mention in regards to that is I do plan on doing a live stream. It'll probably just be a general live stream tour of the property. Might not happen this week. Might try to wait till it warms up just a little bit, because I don't want to rush. I don't want to rush the tour from being a little chilly. So I'll probably wait a week or so to do that. But I'll show you guys around at what's here. So, don't really have much else to say. Oh, kitty. I'm excited. I definitely am, and I know it's been, like I said, tumultuous, really past 7 months. With relocating to Austin, Texas, and that mini road trip before moving there, and all of that. And the podcast feed hasn't been updated as much, so I do apologize for that. But I want to be as open and honest about things that are going on, and I don't want to just not record content because the audio quality is not going to be as good. So. I don't know. I certainly appreciate you guys bearing with me. Hopefully you've enjoyed the journey. I know I have. It's been I had to leave home to really want to come back and stay here permanently, at least semi-permanently. One other thing about this lifestyle is when I was putting together the Excel spreadsheet with the costs. With factoring in with factoring in like $5,000 to $7,000 of savings at the end of the year, that still leaves me with a month or two to travel. So I'll still be out and about, guys. I'll still be out and about. So the Midwest Peanut Liberty Fest, that's obviously a guaranteed one. And I'll have to plan this a little better. Once I kind of settle in here. But the MPL Fest is certainly a go. Worked on the presentation for that today. I'm gonna kind of do an updated version of the Vonu presentation I did a couple of years ago. So that's definitely a go. I definitely plan on going to spend a month or month and a half in Acapulco every year. But I love the place. I really, really do. So that's still there. So yeah, mostly permanent, mostly immobile. But I have worked in financially times when I can travel. So yeah, not really much else to say, other than I did just order another 10 copies of my book, Vonu: A Strategy for Self-Liberation. So if you want to place an order with Bitcoin, I don't accept shitcoins for the payment for the payment flow for the store. But if you want to pay with Bitcoin, just go to libertyunderattack.com/Vonu book. And if you have some shitcoins and you want to buy a book, then you can always just exchange that shit and get some Bitcoin. So that and also too, I did used to accept shitcoins on the LAWay store, but the old processor I used, or the old service I used, just doesn't work anymore. So I had to transition over to something different. But libertyinyourtech.com/Vonu book. If you want to pay with PayPal or Bitcoin, I guess you can pay with PayPal there as well. Or you can go to Amazon, tinyurl.com/selfliberate1, which, as you can see on the screen, you can go pick it up there. And if you do order a copy, or if you already have a copy, and you've already read my book, please do consider leaving a review on Amazon. I noticed I didn't say positive. Be honest. Let me know if it sucks. Please do. I want that honest criticism and feedback, and that does help to guide other people. Maybe it just wasn't for you. Maybe it wasn't what you expected, and someone else can see that and see your review and say, okay, this is what I was looking for. Actually, it gives them more information on what the book consists of. So please do consider leaving a review on Amazon. That certainly does help. So with all of that said, much more to come here from Southern Illinois. Keep a lookout for the video on the video tour of the homestead, maybe the next week or so, hopefully. I've got quite a bit of time. It just comes down to when the weather's going to cooperate for long enough for me to do that. So I'll certainly post a link to the live stream here in patreon.com/Vonu, where you guys are watching this. And lots of interesting things to come. I'm excited for it. Lots more self-liberational media to come with gardening and homesteading and all the things I want to try out. I actually just re-listened to the interview I did with Jamin Bakonik called "Crypto-Anarchism and Permaculture: The Path to Freedom," and I plan on making this kind of a high-tech homestead with weather monitoring stations. With algorithms, automating algorithms, watering my plants based off of humidity and precipitation and and past, weather history as well, historical weather for the area. I don't know, it's gonna be fun. I'll get to test out a lot of things that I've wanted to, and also as well, which I'll show you when I do the tour, directly back over in that direction. On the corner of the properties, this property where I'll live and where my parents will live, where we ride in camp, or ride four-wheelers in camp, the property's a butt. So I'm gonna do some testing of mesh network nodes and see the distances and the speeds and that sort of thing. So it'll be there's a lot of things to try out and a lot of things to learn, and the greatest thing that I discovered about this possibility is that still a very, very cheap lifestyle, and that's fantastic. It really is. As we've talked about before, the less money you spend, the less money you need to survive, the less you have to work, and the more time there is for your own freedom. So. I think that's it. Thank you guys so much for supporting the Vonu podcast. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. And please do pick up a copy of my book if you enjoy the podcast. If you haven't already, it's available on 29 different markets. So if you're not in the United States, if you're in England or England or Germany or somewhere like that, you can order it from your Amazon location there. So thanks guys, and laissez-faire.